Welcome back to Hardball. That was, of course, the ad that launched a political career and vaulted Republican Joni Ernst to her party's nomination for a U.S. Senate seat out in Iowa. Well, in 2014, Republican Party leaders have been intent on avoiding a repeat of the 2010 and 2012 races when extreme candidates like Christine I'm Not a Witch O'Donnell and Sharon Second Amendment Remedies Angle cost the party winnable seats, not to mention Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch, whose comments about women's reproductive systems led to them being known in political shorthand as the rape candidates. Iowa State Senator Joni Ernst's military career and folksy farm background was supposed to inoculate her from such problems. But the longer this campaign goes on, the less mainstream she seems. As we covered earlier this month here on Hardball, Ernst is open to impeaching President Obama and called him a dictator before walking that back. Ernst co-sponsored a personhood amendment to the Iowa Constitution, which would give human embryos full rights beginning at conception. She told the Des Moines Register editorial board that she has reason to believe there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Well, now new video shows Ernst apparently believes that states can nullify federal law.
You know, we have talked about this at the state legislature before, nullification. But bottom line is, as a U.S. Senator, why should we be passing laws that the states are considering nullifying? I mean, that's bottom line, is our legislators at the federal level should not be passing those laws. And we're right. Matt's right in that aspect, is that we have gone 200+ years of federal legislators going against the 10th Amendment and the states' rights. We are way overstepping bounds as federal legislators. So bottom line, no, we should not be passing laws as federal legislators, as senators or congressmen, that the states would even consider nullifying. Bottom line.
Well, in that video, as you heard, Ernst references the 10th Amendment, which says generally powers not specifically delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states. It's a very popular amendment on the far right. In Iowa, Democrats are hoping Republicans might have another Sharon Angle or Todd Akin on their hands. To join me to talk about is MSNBC analyst Joan Walsh and Republican strategist John Brabender. By the way, we reached out to the Ernst campaign for reaction to that nullification video and got this reaction from a campaign spokesperson. Bruce Braley, that's by the way the Democrat running against her in the Senate race, is so desperate that he's once again waging a dirty and false campaign. Joni has not and does not endorse any or support nullification. John, there she said in a couple of references in that tape that she does believe states can nullify a federal law, and now she's put out the word that somehow her opponent leaked this when in fact we have it on tape. What do we make of her position on nullification, which of course was one of the reasons for the Civil War, the South's belief that they could say state by state, Georgia, South Carolina, if the federal government passes a law on slavery, for example, they could nullify and ignore it.
But
an old fight
sort of,
lost in the
I got to be honest, this whole question, in a sense, is the craziness of Washington. We're going to have this conversation. What did she mean about nullification?
Well, what do you think she meant?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I can tell you,
the word means
looking
something.
at what she said, the context she was saying to people in Iowa was,
well, let me read
let's use Iowa common
You can't
sense.
do this. You're not going to do this. Listen to this.
No.
The word nullification has a particular historic meaning. It means, according to the dictionary, the action of a state impending or attempting to prevent the operation and enforcement within its territory of a law of the United States. It has a particular meaning. Although Ernst was not specifically referring to race, by the way, the word nullification is freighted with racial overtones because it was over the issue of slavery and nullification of anti-slavery laws that the South seceded in the Civil War.
But you want to get into constitutional law of what she was saying about nullification, where the truth of the matter is, in a very common sense way, she was saying, you know what? In Iowa, we shouldn't have to live by everything they do in Washington, D.C.
What do you mean they do? It's the federal government.
And when they do something stupid and they know nobody's going to want to live by it, they shouldn't do it. That's the context.
She's saying that you can go ahead, John. You're saying that she's saying something different than you. She's saying states can nullify. Go ahead, John.
John, you just said something completely common sense. I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican. You put it in a really clear way. That's great, and you're entitled to say that. When you leap out there and start talking about nullification, you either know what you're doing or you're stupid and you don't. Nullification has a particular meaning. States' rights has a certain kind of connotation. The word nullification came back into vogue, I'm serious, under Barack Obama, when states started saying they were nullifying Obamacare. You know what happened? The Heritage Foundation, this is hilarious. Last year, the Heritage Heritage Foundation, of all places, had to come out and say, hey, guys, stop calling it nullification. We know you like the word, but that's unconstitutional. States can't nullify federal law. So she may know what she's doing. She knows she's using a code word and a buzzword, and she's getting a kind of thrill from that. Now she's been caught, and you're saying we're not allowed to ask her what she meant by it? I think you're a little bit off there, John.
I think you have every right to ask her what she meant.
Is she deceiving her viewers? Is she deceiving voters by saying that states can nullify federal law?
No, I don't think that was the context what she's saying. And second of all, you can ask her anything you want, but she also has the right to say whatever she wants, and you do not have the right to put into context when you weren't there how she said it. And that's the part that I have a problem. You guys are saying, here's what she meant.
No, here's what I don't think she meant. Highlighting historic context here. This is what Americans mean by the word nullification. In Martin Luther King's historic speech, one of the 2 or 3 greatest speeches in American history, he said, I have a dream. He spoke of nullification, saying, quote, I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. Well, that is the most famous reference to nullification there is. How can you say that people in Iowa haven't heard that speech?
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't in that context.
What
you could say, if I said to you 4 score, I'm not talking 20 years these days.
Okay.
It might be a basketball score.
Want me to play her again?
My whole point is, this is what happens in Washington. We take single words that somebody says that in their context made perfect sense, and we're going to parse those words and try to make it that it was a code word and something that she didn't say.
This?
I don't believe she was saying it in any of that way.
She said it to the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition. In a particular context, she used the word more than one time, John. I think she's created a problem for herself. She's made it look to some people like maybe she is too far right for the state of Iowa.
Well, let me ask you
which voted for Barack Obama twice, I might add.
Do you think she's stupid?
I don't think she's stupid, no.
Well, you just said previously in your first opening statement that either she said this as a code word or she's stupid. And so it'd be easy for me to take that out of context. And I don't believe you were calling her stupid. But that's what happens in Washington politics, is that we take these single
you're an advocate here for her.
And I will continue to.
You're defending her, so tell me what
And I will tell you, let me go further than this. We do the same thing with Barack Obama sometimes, too. He will say something that all of a sudden we're going to jump over it. I'll give you a good example. When he said the thing about that they didn't build it, if you looked at the whole statement in context, it actually meant something more than that, and we jump on that.
Thank you.
This is what
2 years later.
I
got to do something I don't usually do here. Let's show that again. Let's show it again, what she said, and let the viewers decide what she was trying to say, because she went into great detail, repeating herself a number of times, making it very clear to a very conservative targeted audience what she thought of federal law. Let's watch one more time.
You know, we have talked about this at the state legislature before, nullification. But bottom line is, as a U.S. Senator, why should we be passing laws that the states are considering nullifying? I mean, that's bottom line, is our legislators at the federal level should not be passing those laws. And we're right. Matt's right in that aspect, is that we have gone 200+ years of federal legislators going against the 10th Amendment and the states' rights. We are way overstepping bounds as federal legislators. So bottom line, no, we should not be passing laws as federal legislators, as senators or congressmen, that the states would even consider nullifying. Bottom line.
What do you think she meant?
What I think she meant is that Washington has become too powerful and they think they can pass whatever they want and every state's going to just have to abide by it, whether they like it or not, and that states should have more voice.
Well, isn't that true? That's what I'm saying she said.
But you're getting into the constitutional law of it, and I understand that.
But let's go back to common sense. Do you think any state like Iowa can just ignore federal law?
I don't think they ignore federal law, but I think they're very unhappy with Washington. I understand that. You're getting caught up in the word nullify, where the average Iowa family is getting caught up with her saying, you know what? I'm not going to have to put up with everything Washington does.
The word comes up for a reason, John. I mean, it's actually an interesting word. If you're talking to the typical Iowa family, you actually, I don't know, why would you even use that word?
All right, let me ask you this. Do you think around Iowa tables tonight everywhere they're having a discussion on the word?
Well, maybe they are now.
No, they're having a word about why is Washington the way it is and why can't it have more common sense like they have in Iowa. You're actually making
more of a case that it was kind of a code, because it's a word she doesn't need unless she's trying to ring some some bells, like states' rights as well. I mean, there's something a little bit off in what she said.
I do not think it was. I'm just telling you, as a media consultant who's done races all over the country, I don't believe it was a planned code word on her part.
Okay.
I think it was just a phrase that she used, and now the Democrat is trying to make something
Perhaps
out of it.
I'll give her one out. I'll give her one out.
Then.
She doesn't know the history of the pre-Civil War fight over slavery and how the states tried to fight it by saying they had the right to nullify. But anybody who's familiar with American history and the heartache of 600,000 men dead in a war remembers why we fought it. It was where the states have a right to nullify laws passed by Congress. And to not know that word is to be somewhat shorthanded when it comes to talking about national affairs.
And I think you're right to give her a pass on that. I think you're absolutely right.
I wouldn't vote for someone that didn't know history, though. Anyway, but thank you, Joan Walsh. I might in some occasions. John Brabender, thanks for making the best possible fight. You guys, you got 2 deuces in your hand, and look what you've done with it.